Welcome to The Explainer. So, let me ask you something. What if the one thing we all believe about success is just dangerously wrong? What if that standard playbook, the one used by pretty much every company on the planet, is actually a trap? Okay, to kick things off, let's travel back to the early 1900s for a real-life mystery. On one side, we've got Samuel Pierpont Langley. This guy had everything. A massive $50,000 grant from the War Department, a team stacked with the best minds money could buy, a fancy seat at Harvard. The press literally followed his every move. He had the perfect recipe for success, right? And then, on the other side, you've got Orville and Wilbur Wright. They had, well, none of that. Their entire project was funded with profits from their little bicycle shop. Not a single person on their team even went to college. And nobody had ever heard of them. Seriously, by every metric we use today, Langley should have crushed them. But he didn't. So what happened? Well, on December 17th, 1903, the Wright brothers took to the sky. And Langley, just days after his own very public, very embarrassing failure, he just quit. Now, this isn't just some dusty old history lesson. It's a paradox, and it points to this huge, fundamental flaw in how we think about success and leadership. It raises a really unsettling question that's, believe it or not, even more important for us today. So what is this flaw? Well, on the surface, the path to success seems pretty straightforward, right? We've got this standard playbook, this whole toolkit of tactics that businesses and leaders use to, get people to do things. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. You see this stuff every single day. Big price drops, special promotions, using fear, whether it's fear of missing out or some other scary warning, promising you the life you've always dreamed of, or hitting you with peer pressure like over 1 million happy customers can't be wrong, or just plastering the word innovation on everything. These are the levers our entire economy pulls to get us to act. And here's the thing, they totally work. These manipulations absolutely get people to buy stuff. They make the quarterly numbers look great. Just take General Motors, for example. They started offering these huge cashback incentives to boost sales, and for a while, man, it was a huge success. The sales charts went up and to the right. It felt like progress. It felt like they were winning. But there's a big problem here. The kind of motivation these tactics create is incredibly shallow. It's kind of like a New Year's resolution to hit the gym. You know how it goes. Gyms are packed in January, but by March, they're empty again. That motivation just doesn't last because it's not coming from a deep, real place. It's just a temporary fix. And this gets us right back to the heart of our mystery. These tactics, they're an addiction. Leaders get hooked on that quick hit of good results. But here's the kicker. Not a single one of them creates real, genuine loyalty. So if they work so well in the short term, why do they so often lead to long-term disaster? What's the hidden cost that can completely destroy a company's future? To figure that out, we've got to do some investigating. All right, to solve this whole paradox, we need to dig into 3 crucial clues. And trust me, they're going to completely change how you see motivation and leadership. It's time to crack the code. Okay, clue number 1 comes from this really powerful idea called the golden circle. And it all starts with the most obvious part, the what. Every single company on the planet knows what they do, right? They sell products, they offer services, they make computers, they sell cars. That's the easy part. Now, the next layer in is the how. Some companies know how they do their what. This is their special sauce, their unique selling proposition, their secret process. It's the thing they point to when they say, this is what makes us different or better. But right at the very center of that circle, that's where the real secret is, the why. And here's the thing, very, very few people or organizations can actually tell you why they do what they do. And let's be super clear, this is not about making money. That's just a result. The why is your purpose, your cause, your core belief. It's the real reason you get out of bed in the morning. And what's wild is that the most inspiring leaders in companies, they all think, act, and talk starting from the inside out. They always start with why. All right, our second clue is fascinating. It doesn't come from a business textbook. It comes from our own biology. See, our feelings and behaviors are all driven by chemicals in our brain, and you can basically split them into 2 groups. First, you've got what you could call the selfish chemicals. Think of dopamine. It's that feeling of accomplishment, that little rush you get when you cross something off your to-do list. It feels awesome, it's super addictive, and it's all about short-term results. Remember all those manipulations we talked about earlier? Yep, they run on dopamine.
But then you have these selfless chemicals, like serotonin and oxytocin. These are the chemicals of trust, connection, and safety. They're released when we feel like we belong to a tribe, when we feel safe. They don't give you a quick high. They build up slowly, over time. This is the chemistry of the long game.
Okay, our last clue ties all of this together. Think about it. In life and in business, there are really only two types of games you can play. First, there are finite games. These have known players, fixed rules, and a clear finish line where someone wins and someone loses. A football game is a perfect example. But then, there are infinite games. In an infinite game, the players come and go, the rules can change, and there is no finish line. The whole point isn't to win, it's just to stay in the game and keep playing. You can't win business. You can't win at marriage or friendship. These are infinite games. So what happens when we put these three clues together? You've got the golden circle's why, you've got our brain chemistry, and you've got the nature of infinite games. When you connect those dots, the answer to our entire mystery becomes, well, shockingly clear. Here it is. This is the revelation that explains everything. The core problem, the big paradox, is that business is an infinite game, but most leaders are playing it like it's a finite one. They are playing to win. They're obsessed with beating the competition, with being number one, with hitting the next quarterly target. All of those are moves in a game that has a finish line.
So what's the fallout from this mismatch? What happens when you play an infinite game with a finite mindset? Well, you start making some really dangerous choices. You get obsessed with your competitors instead of your own mission. You start relying on those dopamine-driven manipulations to get quick results. And that erodes trust and safety. It starves your team of that all-important oxytocin. Your why starts to get blurry and gets replaced by just what you do. And before you know it, the whole organization is addicted to these short-term wins, all while sacrificing its long-term health, its ability to innovate, and even its ability to survive. So the solution isn't some new tactic or business hack. It's a complete and total shift in perspective. An infinite mindset isn't about being the best. It's about being better today than you were yesterday. The goal stops being about beating your competition and starts being about outlasting them by building an organization that's so strong, so full of trust and purpose that it's built to last for generations. Okay, this is all great in theory, but what can we actually do with this knowledge? How do we start playing the infinite game? Well, here are three really powerful shifts in thinking that can totally change how you lead. First up, start with why. This has to be your foundation. Get crystal clear on a purpose that's about more than just your products or profits. That's the fuel that's going to keep you going. Second, leaders eat last. And this isn't just a cute saying, it's a practice. It means you're willing to sacrifice your own perks and comforts for the good of your team. That's how you build that circle of safety, creating the deep trust you need to get through the tough times. And finally, number 3, find a worthy rival. Stop thinking about beating your competitors. Instead, find a rival who is so good at what they do that they force you to get better. They're not an enemy. They're a standard that pushes you to constantly improve your own game. Which brings us right back to where we started, to our original mystery, Langley versus the Wrights. See, now it's clear. Langley was playing a finite game. He was in it for the fame, the glory, to be the first one there. He was just in it to win. But the Wright brothers, they were playing an infinite game. They were driven by a powerful why, a deep, unshakable belief that this invention, flight, could change the course of human history. So for them, failures weren't the end of the world. They were just learning experiences. They weren't playing to win a prize. They were playing to advance a cause. And in the end, that's the only game worth playing. So the real question for all of us isn't about winning or losing. It's about playing. If our work, our careers, our lives are all infinite games, what move will you make tomorrow to keep playing?